Well, the task is to build a Tic Tac toy game. I made it. Well, I made it for 1.5 day. Well, it was a little bit difficult, but it wasn't impossible. Well, here in HTML code, I made a div with ID identifier game. Well, that's all. Here is the CSS code that structures my table, and here is the essential code. And the first task was to build a table for the game. Well, I get an identifier game by document query selector, and I assign it to a variable game. After this, I assign to a variable UL document that creates a UL tag element in HTML table. After this, I append this element UL to the HTML code. Well, the next task is to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares for the game. Well, I made a cycle here from 9 to 10, not including 10. Well, and I create an element tag Lee. After this, I have to select all lead tags that I created in HTML code. After this, I create an empty array. It's just for control switching of a current player, and I have an empty inner HTML status and made a special variable for this status. Main game. Well, in the beginning I have to make a cycle that checks all lead tags, all 9 squares for presence or for absence, a player, and etc. Well, the first task was to declare function fill cells. Here, what I make a cycle for all lead tags, and I add an event listener for every tag. Well, I listen for this and I check if the first element has to be X. Well, I check if this element. Oh, sorry. I match. One second. Here, just I check if this array is empty. Of course, it's empty. Well, I push X to the array and I add X to the square in HTML code, and its color is red, for example, like this. After this, I switch players. If an array is empty, of course it's empty for the first time. Okay, the cell is filled with X. For the second time, I have to switch for 0. Else, if event target in HTML is equal to known, it is equal to known, and if array length here is equal to X, I push 0, so next element O, and I switch it all the time. Well, there is no problem for this. I made it. I reload the page. Well, this logic is simple and it's okay for this, but I spent a lot of time to understand it and to make it good. After this, I have to understand who is winner, who is not. Check in, of course, for matches to choose a winner. If, and this, there are a lot of matches, some of them are no, not some of them, but one of these matches is for win and another no. What is logic? I check if, for example, this element is equal to x and this element is equal to x and this element is equal to x. If it matches, I alert player x1 and of course I reset settings. What is the function reset settings? It means to clear all squares in inner HTML code. Well, our length is equal to 0. I make empty an array to control switch players, and of course I make a cycle for all squares, and I make an HTML equal to known. Well, it's empty. If it's okay here, okay. Well, the function winner reset settings. Well, where squares are filled, here I place this function just here in the end of this check block, just to in the logic that a square is filled by one of two values, x or o, and after this I checks if there is any matches. If there is no matches, well, nothing occurs. And of course, if a length of an array is 9 and there is no matches, right, I alert cat's game and of course I reset settings. I clear all squares in inner HTML code and I make it empty. Well, I think that's all. For example, XO, XO, X, player X1, XO, 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 player O1. It works.